Okay, so this is the first digital art class, and if you could go ahead and mute everybody's lines, if everybody could go ahead and mute their lines, it's good to get practice with doing that. It just helps with background noise, things like that, and you'll even hear I have background noise with sometimes people are mowing or my dog's barking or something like that. This class is going to be at 1:30 every single Monday. It really is beneficial to get on because then if you have questions or like then you don't have to watch the replay. So it's just something you can do in real time. It helps keep you more accountable and a little bit more plugged in with other humans because people on the screen are the only people that I've seen for a week and a half besides my husband. So it's really nice to see y'all and I love having y'all in class. So as much as you can be here, please do. Make sure if you didn't watch the video that I posted for the last class, go ahead and watch it because it's going to explain a lot of the questions that I was getting in my email. A lot of you haven't turned in your assignment from last week. I understand that because, again, we're all just trying to figure everything out. Make sure you get it in. If you have questions about that, let me know, but I'm not going to stick to a very strict deadline for this first week because everybody's kind of running around like a chicken with their head cut off. So I really just want you guys to try your absolute best to get that in, and moving forward will be a little bit stricter with deadlines. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Hey, Charlie. And you're just going to have to bear with me because this is a little different for me too. So, okay, so last week's assignment was all based off this artist, Redmer Hoekstra. He's an artist that's based in Amsterdam, and it was weird because when I was traveling in Amsterdam, I went to this really large outdoor market, and I met him there. And so I was all fangirly and stuff like that, but he had all of his stuff laid out. He is a surrealism artist. And so what that means is it's a very dreamlike style of art. And so you wouldn't necessarily see giraffes walking around with toothbrush heads in your real life or owls with book wings. And so it's something that might happen in a dream or that isn't necessarily connected to reality. And so that is a surrealism artist. I'm not sure if you guys have seen like the Melting Clock, the famous painting like Persistence of Memory, but that is also a famous surrealist artist. And so he is Redmer Hoekstra on Instagram. One thing that I think is really cool about artists that are contemporary that are living and working right now is because a lot of them have their own Instagram pages, and you can see a little bit of behind the scenes of their work. You can see them making things in real time. You can see their gallery displays. You can DM them if you want to. Just depends if they'll DM you back. But that's always a cool resource. And throughout this PowerPoint, throughout slides and things that I show you guys, I'm always going to leave the link so you can explore them for yourself. He said he's always loved daydreaming, and he finds his inspiration of things to combine out in the world. So say he is on the subway and he sees like the subway seat, and then he's somewhere else and he sees something that resembles that shape. He's just looking for similar forms in his life and ways to combine those. And so if you haven't finished your assignment yet and you're struggling with things to combine, just look at things around you. And so if you look at a pen, then what also resembles the shape of a pen? It might turn into a paintbrush. It might turn into a popsicle. It might turn into whatever. And I'm going to show you some examples of how your classmates respond to that as well. These are all pen drawings on paper. You guys have done pen in class, and so you know how long it takes to do that really, really detailed artwork. He said it takes average 32 to 40 hours for him to draw one. So think about kind of like a full-time job. If he had it for a whole week, he would create one of these. And one of the reasons that I gave all this assignment, by the way, is because we've drawn from observation, we've drawn from a grid, we've drawn from a picture, we've drawn from tracing things and then shading them. And so this is kind of a way for you to combine all those skills into one thing and realize that, like, as we do assignments in my class, they're going to be more creative thinking from now on, but don't be so hard on yourself and think that it needs to be perfect, because obviously I'm not there to help you with that. And so it's going to be more of a creative problem solving effort, that kind of thing, especially moving forward throughout however long we're out of school, right? So here's some of the responses I got from it. We got donut headphones. Here's a snake eagle. Here's a shark hammer. I don't know. I think y'all can see this over here. There is a turtle burger and a hot dog dog, and then a banana squid. So all kind of random, all kind of weird, all kind of dreamlike. But I was really proud of the things that people did because, again, with me not there, shading is not that easy of a thing to do by yourself. But think about how if I went to combine a pen and turn it into a paintbrush, I can look at the pen, I can look at the paintbrush and the part that they have similar and draw them, put them together, and then you can turn the images to black and white to shade it in order to help you. And you can do that with pen and ink, or you can do it with pencil. So the way this class is going to be structured is from now on, like next week from now on, I'm going to ask you guys to participate a little bit like verbally as far as we're going to talk about the art that we make. But for this week, I'm going to jump right into just sharing about what you're going to do for this week. And every assignment is always going to be due on Fridays, just by the end of whatever will be the school day on Friday. So you have the whole week to do it. And it's only going to take you, it should only take you about 20, maybe 30 minutes to do whatever I give you. So I'm not going to give you really in-depth art assignments, but I do want you to be creative and I do want you to try and make sure you turn them in. So it's Corona time for artists and creatives to thrive. And so if you notice, I don't know how, you've probably been on your phone a lot, musicians, social media artists, comedians, businesses, they're all using creativity to adapt to this new normal way of life. So let me explain a little bit about that. So I was on Instagram earlier and I saw that Neil Diamond, the guy that sings Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba. He made like a coronavirus version of that song on social media. If you think about TikTok, they're, you know, the that dance, that thing, people are responding and making things based off of coronavirus. Artists, I'm going to show you a few different ways on how artists are responding to coronavirus. Comedians, they're doing live streams from their homes, and businesses are being really creative in how they deliver whatever it is they deliver. So Orange Theory Fitness, for example, the gyms, they're doing live streaming. I take my puppy to this bar, like it's called Bark Bar, and it's like a big outdoor play thing for dogs where they have food and drinks, and they're making like little dog goodie bags, and people can drive through and pick them up. And so while this is a time of a lot of uncertainty and a lot of like not so greatness, there is a lot of creativity coming out of it. And that's one of the things I really love about art, is because, not knocking any other subject, but I feel like it can respond to what is actually happening in our lives right now. And so like in the future, we can look back on right now and see the kind of art and see the kind of things that are created. You'll remember the culture of what was happening right now during this time, during this pandemic. And so thinking about like in 10 years, I don't know if you guys have watched Tiger King on Netflix, but I'm going to think back and think, dang, I watched Tiger King and they had all these crazy dances on TikTok and I stayed in my house for months. And this is how people responded in the world. And so we can give hints in what we create now for the future, for the people that are going to be seeing this in the future, whether it be us or others. Because if you think about art, art history, it shows a little bit about the culture of that time, right? Another thing that I love about art is that it can incite people to take action. And so just like the media and news sources can incite people to take action and make people want to act a certain way or do a certain thing, art can do the same thing if it's done right. And I'm going to show you an example of that a little bit. And then it can also make you smile. And so it's okay that there's comedy and TikToks and art that kind of pokes fun at things because we're all in this shared human experience together. And even though people are going through it differently in their lives, depending on where you live or depending on who you are, it's still a shared human experience that everybody's kind of having to deal with. It's changed and affected everybody's lives. And so that's something that we can kind of poke fun at a little bit in order to make it a little lighter. So I'm going to show you how a few different artists are responding to the coronavirus and what's happening in our world, and then how I'm going to make this into a little bit of an assignment for you guys. No, I don't want notifications. So this is a nail artist whose name is me something that I can't pronounce, and she is taking, like, so for example, this is some nail art here, and she took one nail and made it clear. Another nail is inspired by the Purell label, by Advanced, by Refreshing Gel, and so she's just kind of making like the design qualities on the nails over here. Over here, she put nails on top of a latex glove, and I know that nail art doesn't really seem like art, but it still is. Like, she's making a comment about what's happening right now. This is actually, I don't know how she did this, but this is actual like stuff that goes on her nails, and it makes it look like there's soap on your nails. So it's kind of like a, hey, wash your hands, stay hygienic, stay clean thing. And then here, she decorated each nail with things that are logos related. She adapted the logos of things that are kind of comforting us at home and adapted that to say stay home, right? And so if you look at you see the YouTube here, the Friends logo, you got your TikTok, Instagram, toilet paper, Spotify, so all things that can kind of make us comfortable during this time and reasons for us to be comfortable with staying home. And so that's how that artist responded to this. This chalk artist, David Zinn, is cheering up people in Michigan by making quarantine-inspired street art. And so in other places, it's not necessarily like Arkansas where we can still be out and about because we're more rural. Some people, especially in cities, are stuck completely in their apartments, or they can only go out to get groceries into the pharmacy. And so David Zinn, let me have this pulled up, he makes like chalk art and street art that's just out in the public to kind of cheer people up. So this one says, I asked these guys for advice on social distancing. They were stumped. And he made these little artworks on tree stumps. And it kind of shows you. And again, this is cool, like now that we can see what artists are creating on Instagram too. But it's just kind of a little thing to make it lighter. And he did ones that are kind of commenting on, keep your distance. And they're things that people can just see as they enter the world and as they leave their home. And again, I put all these links in here for you if you want to learn a little bit more about any of them. If you look at New York Times, or if you look at any news source, you might see photographers that are allowed to go out in different countries and at different landmarks and take pictures of the completely empty landmarks and places. This place in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris is usually packed. Like, you can't usually get a view of the Eiffel Tower like this. And so the fact that there's nobody there is telling something huge about the state of our world right now. And so the fact that we might be able to look back at these photographs are a form of art, and the fact that you're going to be able to see oh wow, nobody's moving, nobody's doing things, all these landmarks, all these places that used to be full are not. And that can be really beautiful, but it can also be really disturbing. And so it's making you feel something a little bit about what's happening at this time as well. And then Jose Manuel Ballester is removing the people in famous artworks to comment on social distancing. So he'll take a famous artwork like the Last Supper right here, and he just takes all the people out of it to comment about the fact that oh, there are no people where there usually are people. Kind of weird, kind of crazy. And so that's an example of kind of an art history spoof on this. And that's related to our assignment that we're gonna do. And there's some more examples on this link over here if you want to check them out later. And then there are some of comedy TikToks and things like that from our experience with this pandemic. This is an appropriate one. I know TikTok is and so these are all ways that different people are responding in the world right now. And art can be super meaningful when you're creating it about what you're actually experiencing and the culture in which you're currently living. And there's a lot of value in painting a pretty flower, but it doesn't really make you feel that much besides, wow, look at that pretty flower. But if it's something that you can relate to and something that you can share in your experience in life, it's going to hit you a lot different, I think. So that's why I think art is incredible, and why I've really been enjoying seeing what different creative people are doing in this time. Because again, even people are being creative with what they're doing in their house. I just bought a puzzle at the store the other day. I haven't done a puzzle in 10 years. So it's just part of what we're going through. Our history spoofs have been used to comment on our modern culture for a really long time. And I think there are certain art historical pieces that people are kind of familiar with. This one is American Gothic by Grant Wood. And so artists have taken that really recognizable work of art and created a spoof on it based on what is based on culture right now. And so this one of Hillary and Donald was made last year. And then you got your Simpsons over here and Barbie and Ken. And so that's telling a little bit more about the culture that you're living in, right? This is Girl with the Pearl Earring by an artist called Vermeer in the 1600s. And this shows kind of what that woman might have been wearing at that time. And then here's a modern take on it where they added a camera because she's now taking a selfie, because that's well, that's not even that modern now because she doesn't have a cell phone. But and then this one is a Simpsons character. This one up in the top left is Nighthawks by Edward Hopper, and he did artwork in the 1940s. It's based on how people in cities, even though they're very busy, can feel very alone, which is kind of ironic right now. But he does artwork that shows people kind of distant and alone and trying to find company in these crowded spaces. And this artist adapted this artwork and added free Wi-Fi because people nowadays don't go to a bar for the company, they go to a bar for the free Wi-Fi, I suppose, is the commentary on that. So what your assignment is going to be is to recreate artwork with quarantine edition. So you're not going to draw it, you're going to take a photo. Pretty much every assignment that we do is going to take you about 20 to 30 minutes tops, I already mentioned. So it's giving you a chance to just kind of creatively think. But you're going to pick a famous painting and artwork to recreate. About this artwork, so whatever artwork you choose, you have to know the artwork title, and I'm going to show you how to find all this, the artist, and where the artist is from. So you can either make this the title of the file, or you can add a comment with it when you upload it, or you can upload both on Google Classroom. So whatever way, I just need to know what original work that you were trying to recreate, okay? And right here it says upload a picture of the original artwork and your image to the Google Classroom assignment. I would prefer that, but if you can't figure out how to do that, then at least like title it with this information or add a comment. Just in some way let me know what you're recreating. Be creative with this. So this is recreating the Masters like in a quarantine edition. So I don't know if you guys have seen the famous artwork Scream where the guy's like screaming, but don't just like put your hand up and like that. Add some props, add some things in your house. It doesn't have to be of you. It can be of some of your family members. You can add more than one person into it. You could like tie a scarf around your dog's head and like make your dog the center of it. It doesn't really matter. It's just that you're commenting on the fact that you're recreating this artwork in your home with the things that you have, as long as it's appropriate. But it can be funny, and that's kind of what it's for, right? So there are hundreds of these kind of photos and photographers. Just be sure if you use Google that you're using them for inspiration and that you try to make your own take on it, okay? So I can see like how other people are doing this and change it up a little bit, right? So here are some examples from the quarantine situation right now. I'm just going to go through a couple of them. So this one is not like the best example, but an art museum put this out as a challenge. And so they found this horse picture and they recreated it with their laundry and Trader Joe's bags. They found this artwork with a man in his royal robes with really nice material and a book. And then they recreated it with his, work from home scenario, a book, and his bathrobe. And a still life is something that you look at and draw, right? And so they took this still life of apples and of wine and bread, and they adapted it to quarantine coronavirus version with your toilet paper and your condiments and your wine. Not your wine, but the same here where you got the tray with a bunch of food, the tray here. And so there's a lot of different creative ways people have done this. Like I like the dog one up here. But the whole point is to, hey, Johan, the whole point is to take a famous artwork and to make your own photograph out of it. And so there is an Instagram account actually that does this. Oh, I have it open already up here. And so these people, if you open it, they put their picture first, and then if you scroll over, it's called COVID Classics. It shows the original artwork. And they said that they came up with this idea because he was getting on a conference call with a coworker, and he couldn't find a hat to cover his really jacked up hair at the time. And so we put a towel on his head, and it reminded him of this painting. And so they started recreating that throughout the quarantine with just funny scenes from home. So there's this one, and the original artwork is this. And so it's just kind of funny. It's using things around your house. It doesn't have to be anything super complex. Just be creative with it. And so this is the original one, and this is the one that they recreated. And if you hopped on a little late, I'm going to post a replay of this later, as well as the slideshow that I'm showing you. So where can you look for famous artwork? I posted this link here because this is the museum that put out the challenge to do this. And so if you click on the link, you can cycle through different types of artwork. So you could choose sculptures, you could choose paintings, you can choose drawings, it can really be whatever. I would just recommend looking through them and seeing what catches your eye and gives you an idea. So you're just looking for inspiration. Forewarning, like there is nude people in artwork sometimes. Don't be weird about it, just breeze on by it. But look for an artwork that inspires you. You can also just look up famous artwork on Google or famous artwork spoofs and get ideas. But the whole point, again, is to find an artwork, set up some kind of scene in your home, where you are, take a picture of it, find like the details about the artwork, find where the artist is from, find the name, find the date, and this is all in the Google slideshow, right? Yeah. And then upload to Google Classroom. So that's super simple, creative. Hopefully you can have fun with it. So I'm going to stop my share here. But from now on, pretty much as we do these classes, I'm going to do, again, the first 10 minutes, we're going to talk about the things that we made the last time. The second 10 minutes, I'm going to blab a little bit. And then the last 10 minutes, if you have any questions or if you just like need help with something, then I can help you with that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.